Ahoy hoy, I'm Planet Walk, and I have been dealing with flat earthers for years now, to the point where I know every single argument that they have to offer. If the earth were to actually be flat, I think I'd have seen at least one argument that would have made me question whether the earth is a sphere or not. But that hasn't happened yet. So naturally, when I see a video titled Top 10 Reasons Why Earth is Not a Sphere, it does pique my interest, because I would like to actually hear an argument that makes me think for a second. So let's go through a video that I found titled Top 10 Reasons the Earth is Not a Sphere. I think it was made by the Morgile, I am not sure because it was uploaded to like several different other flat earth channels.
Here's the top 10 reasons why I believe that the Earth is not a sphere. Number 10. Mercury should not be visible from Earth in the heliocentric system. Watch the video in the description for more information about this.
It would be a full 138 million miles away, with the sun directly in between us and Mercury, allegedly. So in neither of these cases could Mercury conceivably be visible after sunset.
So the diagram there makes it look as though there are two different possible places that Mercury can be relative to Earth. There's a lot more than two different places that it can be. So let's say, for example, that Mercury was off to the side of the sun relative to Earth, then it is possible that you'd be able to see it at night. This is because it would reflect some light towards Earth, and it is far away enough from the sun that the sun can set and Mercury can still remain in the sky. That is not really a hard thing to work out.
Number 9. A lot of land is bigger or smaller relative to other land, or has a completely different shape than on the maps you saw in your classroom as a child, or that you can see on Google Maps, because it's hard to map out a sphere on a flat map.
That's not really an argument against Earth being a sphere. That's more of a result of Earth being a sphere. So this means that one of the arguments for Earth not being a sphere is literally because Earth is a sphere. You cannot make this up. You want to know my best argument for the Earth not being flat? The reason why the Earth is not flat is because the Earth is flat. Checkmate, flat earthers!
Number 8. Even though it's possible to make water curve with technology, we don't have an example of this in nature.
I mean, water does curve all the time. That is literally what waves are. Now, you might say, oh, we mean on a big scale, like an ocean curving. Well, there's been plenty of images of Earth from space, but you're not going to accept that, are you? Let's talk about the oceans curving on the flat Earth, because that is something that must happen if the Earth is flat. This is because of something that is simply known as tides. Tide comes in, tides go out. Flat earthers can't explain that. And because the tides are not the same everywhere on Earth, this must mean that the water has to curve to get from high tide to low tide back to high tide again. So no matter which way you slice this, water does curve in nature.
Number 7. There has never been proof that the Earth is moving or spinning.
Evidence that the Earth is spinning. If only there was a clip that I could use here.
But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift. A 15-degree-per-hour drift.
Thanks, Bob. It looks like we do have evidence that the Earth is spinning after all. Of course, that isn't the only evidence. There is evidence such as the Coriolis effect, the Utbush effect, as well as Foucault's pendulum. One of my favourite pieces of evidence, of course, is that things weigh less at the equator than at the poles due to the centrifugal force at the equator from Earth's spin. Although the thing that I find particularly funny is that if the Earth were flat, it would make far more sense for that flat Earth to be spinning than it would for it to be stationary. So maybe flat earthers should just start embracing the spinning flat Earth model, as, you know, they'd still be wrong because it's a flat Earth, but they'd be less wrong.
Number 6. There's emergency plane landings that disagree with the sphere Earth. Watch the video linked in the description to learn more about it.
So I've heard this argument many times from flat earthers. There was a flight from Hong Kong to LA, and they had to make an emergency stop in Alaska. Flat earthers look at this and go, well, on a globe, shouldn't the flight go closer to Hawaii than Alaska? Why didn't they make an emergency stop in Hawaii? And the reason why this argument doesn't work is because the route that they say the plane would take is not actually the shortest route on a globe. The shortest route actually goes pretty close to Alaska. This is because planes fly in a Great Circle route, and the Great Circle route from Hong Kong to LA actually passes just below Alaska. Flat Earthers really need to start thinking in 3D and not 2D.
Number 5. If you zoom in on the sunset, you will see the full sun again. Therefore, it's our limited human perspective that makes it disappear, because it's moving away from us.
So this is quite simply a result of glare. If you were to perform this experiment but had a solar filter, then you would not get that result. It's funny how with a lot of flat earth experiments, the thing you need to do in order to get the flat earth result is just not control for glare. Whereas everybody that actually does science knows that the first thing that you should do is control for variables like that.
Number 4. The so-called planets don't look like we were taught as kids in actuality. Not only are they not spheres, but they are not even round.
You know, I don't think that flat earthers actually have the ability to read. This is because there seems to be 2 requirements to being a flat earther. The first is own a P1000. The second is do not read the manual for said P1000, because God forbid you actually know how to operate the camera that you're using for your supposed research. So the reason why those videos of planets look like that is simply because the camera is out of focus. This could be fixed if you were to just, fix the focus on your camera. I've seen plenty of photos and videos of planets where they actually have them in focus, and guess what? It's a sphere. Anyway, unlike flat earthers, I actually know how to control the focus of my camera, so I'm not going to be blurry for the rest of the video.
Number 3. As I explained in this video, planes don't fly upside down, nor do they dip their nose down because they're not flying around a spherical object.
Wait, is he holding a sheep there? I didn't know that he was from New Zealand. I don't know how he's a flat earther from New Zealand though, seeing as all us Kiwis are paid by NASA. Anyway, to actually address the argument given, down is always relative to where you are on the globe. So when it comes to planes flying upside down, well, they're not really flying upside down. They're only flying upside down relative to people on the other side of the globe. Now, as for the planes would constantly have to dip their nose argument, there's a reason why planes don't have to do that, and that is because of gravity. Planes constantly have to fight gravity, so they don't have to angle the nose down, they instead need to angle the nose upwards in order to counteract gravity.
Number 2. Amateur footage shows a flat Earth, and even the videos filmed with a fisheye lens don't show a departure from Earth. It stays at eye level.
Well, there is Mr. Sensible's Mage experiment, which shows that the Earth does indeed curve. And even though I've seen flat earthers try to debunk it, their attempts have been terrible. For example, I've seen someone try to debunk it by pointing out that one of the cameras was a fisheye lens, and just completely ignoring the camera that isn't a fisheye lens.
Number 1. It's common sense. I made a video about this already. None of our senses tell us that it's a sphere or that there is movement, and we can see that the sun and the moon are close. And nobody has ever seen the curve, making it a purely religious belief.
So using common sense is a really bad argument. In fact, to believe in a flat earth, often you have to suspend common sense. For example, if a ship is disappearing bottom first over the horizon, common sense will tell you that there must be something obstructing your view. To be a flat earther, you have to deny that. This is why people have thought that the Earth is a sphere for 2,500 years. Because Earth being a sphere really is just common sense. But anyway, that is it for this video. Leave a like and subscribe if you liked the video. Leave a comment letting me know what you'd like to see me make videos on in the future. As always, a big shout out to my $20 or more patrons: Hugh Jarsz, M.C.Nutkin, SHaKie, Wolfie, Morrie, Graymore Ghost, KidVicious, Sacha Campbell, Militant Agnostic, and Elke Loobuyck. If you want to support me financially, you can do so on Patreon. There should be a link there. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. Between you and me, don't tell the flat earthers this, but the best argument for the Earth being flat is that the Earth is actually a sphere.